Cavanaugh of the Gallup Journey Magazine, yet again another truck. This time though, a little bit different. We have a 2012 Ford F-150 XLT. This model though is equipped with the 3.7 liter V6, 6-speed automatic transmission, and it's two-wheel drive. So this is my first chance to drive a V6 truck. A modern V6 truck, that is. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed. V6 engines have gotten quite good. The Ford F-150 here is using a 3.7 liter. It's got variable cam timing on the exhaust and intake, and it's making 302 horsepower. Those are good numbers for a 3.7 liter, 278 pound-feet of torque. And as I've said, as I'm going to mention over and over again in this video, I think made it to the 6-speed transmission with the 373 rear end. This is really all the engine and powertrain you need for 90% of your use of a truck like this. You put mountain bikes in the back, dirt bikes, hauling some plywood, pulling a camper, things like that. Assuming it's not a big travel trailer, the V6 is going to be fine. If you really do need more power, you can look at the 5-liter V8. As I mentioned, the 5-liter V8 and the Mustang is making over 400 horsepower. It's tuned a little differently here in the F-150. Makes 360 horsepower, 380 pound-feet of torque. Certainly that's going to give you the more torque you need for towing. But overall, day-to-day use, 360 versus 302 horsepower, yeah, you might feel it in some places like trying to pass on a 2-lane, but overall, for most users' needs, the V6 is going to be ample, capable, and efficient. The 3.7 liter V6 can come with 2 different rear ends. And this model I have here has the actual shorter rear end, which is a little helpful for towing. But one of the reasons I picked this arrangement, this powertrain combo, is I wanted to see if the average consumer is really going to feel the difference between the 3.7 liter V6, the 5.0 V8, or the EcoBoost. Now, we really shouldn't even compare it to the EcoBoost. The torque on that thing is just so impressive that you just take off. But let me say this, with the 6-speed transmission in this rear end, especially getting off the line right there, the F-150 moves pretty smartly. I think for the average consumer, the V6 is actually quite enough. It's not until you really are probably going to have a load in the bed or you're getting onto the highway or something that you're going to notice the V6 kind of lacking in power. For everyday commuting and those types of needs, it really is sufficient. And the fuel economy gains you get with it pay off. Any chassis engineer has to figure out, how do we tune the vehicle dynamics of any vehicle, whether it's a sports car, an SUV, whatever. Now, of course, this is a truck. It's also got a tow. It's got to be able to handle some payload in the bed. And frankly, trucks ride quite nice today. It's still a truck, but the big wheels and having some suspension travel more than, say like an economy car, it's really quite comfortable. You'll still get some kind of the head bob as you make your way across like, some speed bumps or some spots in the road like this. But overall, trucks have become a pretty comfortable vehicle for commuting, just everyday commuting, and of course for your everyday work needs too. Your interior on the F-150 is a nice place to be. As with all trucks these days, ample storage, big cup holders, big storage in the doors, little cubbies for your phone, stuff like that. Really, you're getting the same interior setup regardless of the trim line you're getting in each vehicle. Yeah, you get a King Ranch or something, this thing's going to be covered in leather, it's going to make it feel a little more substantial or nice underneath your elbow. But other than that, it's classy, it works, it's not going to age inappropriately or look tacky in 3-4 years. Ford's done a good job in this interior. Something interesting with trucks today is that you'll notice that even the 4x2 trucks sit quite high, just as high as the 4x4 trucks. It's not like the trucks of yesteryear where they had a different suspension and a different ride height comparatively. As with other vehicles I've tested, the trend today now too is high bedsides. This makes getting items from out of the back of the truck a little more difficult. The other trucks I've driven have been 4-doors, Super Cruise, whatever you want to call them. This is a little more traditional extended cab, which I believe they call a crew cab. Let's take a look at it. These rear doors open perpendicular, full 180 degrees, gives you great access back here. With the seats folded, you get a reasonably flat load floor there. You can fit a cooler, quite a bit of groceries. It's actually quite a bit of space. You do have the jack here, which gets in the way a little bit, and the seat brace here, the mount, also takes up some space. You can't just slide things in necessarily. I also have my kids' car seats in here because I wanted to see if a family of 4 or 5 could use this as their daily vehicle. And it worked out quite fine. It's a nice height for getting your kids in and out. You do have to move your seat forward a little bit to keep them from kicking you all the way on your road trip. But other than that, it fits pretty well. Again, I'm 5'8". This is where my seat was for me. Driving is 5'8". I have plenty of knee room, good height there for my feet, good headroom, and of course it's a truck, so great shoulder room. As I just mentioned, one of the advantages of going with a crew cab versus a super crew is you get a real box, not that 5.5-foot box that really doesn't carry that much. This is equipped with a 6.5, quite a bit more space, and of course you can get a full 8-foot box, which is going to allow you to easily carry 4x8 sheets of plywood, whatever. My litmus test is always my mountain bike. If I have to put it in there with the front wheel turned and kind of leaning against the side, that to me says the box is too short. I specifically asked for a V6 F-150 because I needed to test it and find out, is this going to meet the needs of most users? And unequivocally, the answer is yes. And it's going to gain you 2 things, fuel economy and price. Let's talk fuel economy first. 1723, those are some good numbers for a vehicle this big. 23 miles a gallon on the highway. I mean, you could take this on a fairly long trip and not feel too guilty about it. Drive to that city 2-3 hours away to pick up that special Craigslist find. Go for it with the V6 and the 2-wheel drive package. Now, if you do need more power, opting for the 5-liter V8 is going to give you kind of standard, in my opinion, truck numbers, 15, 21. Now, granted, that V8 is going to give you quite a bit more power, 360 horsepower, 380 pound-feet of torque, but you're paying the price both here and here. Okay, so you want power and a fuel economy. Go for the EcoBoost. The EcoBoost gives you less of a penalty, 1622. Of course, you're paying for that. To get a similarly equipped model with the EcoBoost, you're looking at $3,000 to $4,000 more over the V6, the standard V6. Now let's talk price. $31,000 as tested. First of all, you might be like me where you had to get it out of your head that you're looking at your father's work truck with the bench seats and a standard transmission for 20 grand. You're not going to get that really anymore. You can find some stripper models, but basically this is what most people would probably consider to be a standard or base truck. It's the XLT. It's got power windows and locks and those kinds of things, but it's not frivolous either. It doesn't have leather, it doesn't have power pedal adjustments, it doesn't have rear backup camera and all those doodads and gadgets and extras that really tack on to the price. But you're still at $31,000. Now, when you consider the cost savings you're getting in fuel economy and the money you're saving on the sticker, you really should consider looking at the V6. I want to give a special thanks to Gurley Motors, the oldest Ford dealership in New Mexico, for giving me some time to test drive and enjoy the Ford F-150. Thanks for watching. Leave some comments below.